In today's video, we're tackling a topic that's both intriguing and vital for your interpersonal relationships, identifying the signs of an evil person in your life. Aristotle once wisely said, "It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light." So today, we're going to shine a bright light on those dark traits that can harm us, helping you to safeguard your emotional and psychological well-being. Many of us have encountered individuals whose presence seems to drain the positivity out of life. These are people who, intentionally or not, spread negativity and manipulate others for their gain. Recognizing these traits early on can save us from a lot of heartaches and trouble down the line. In this video, we'll explore the 5 key behaviors that may indicate someone has malicious intentions. From deceit and lack of empathy to outright aggression and narcissism, we'll cover all the bases to help you make informed decisions about who you let into your life. Let's dive into understanding these traits better, ensuring that we keep our circles positive and our spirits unbroken. Stay tuned as we decode the complexities of human behavior together. Recognizing deception. Deception is a complex and multifaceted behavior often associated with individuals who harbor more sinister intentions. Recognizing when someone is being deceitful can be tricky, especially when they are adept at wearing a mask of charm and charisma. As Jean-Jacques Rousseau aptly pointed out, insincere friends are more to be feared than open enemies. This rings true in many scenarios where the real danger comes cloaked in familiarity rather than outright hostility. The first step in recognizing deception is to observe the congruence between what a person says and what they do. Actions, as they say, speak louder than words, but deceptive individuals are skilled at crafting a narrative with their words that often contradicts their actions. They may promise support and understanding, yet their actions might reveal indifference or worse, undermining behaviors. It's like dealing with a mirage. What you see doesn't always reflect what truly exists. Inconsistency in behavior is a significant red flag. A person might present themselves as altruistic and benevolent in public, yet you may witness moments of selfishness or cruelty in private interactions. This discrepancy points to a calculated approach to social relationships, where appearances are maintained for personal gain or social standing. Watching how someone treats others when they think no one important is watching can provide profound insights into their true character. Another layer of deceit involves manipulative communication. Manipulators use their words as tools to twist reality, confuse their targets, and control situations. This can be particularly destructive because it often leaves the victim questioning their sanity and reality, a psychological manipulation tactic known as gaslighting. For example, after an overtly negative action, a deceitful person might deny this ever happened or claim that it was misunderstood, thereby deflecting blame and avoiding responsibility. The manipulation can also extend to exploiting emotional vulnerabilities. By understanding what emotionally drives a person, a manipulator can tailor their interactions to elicit specific responses like guilt, sympathy, or even anger. This is often seen in relationships where one person always seems to be treading on eggshells, manipulated by the other's emotional needs and reactions. Furthermore, deceit can be cloaked in half-truths and selective information. This is a subtle form of deception where important details are omitted, leading to misunderstandings that the deceptive person can exploit. The danger here is that everything they say sounds plausible and is often backed up by just enough truth to make doubts seem unreasonable. Lies, the most straightforward form of deceit, are not always easy to detect, especially when told by someone skilled in deception. Some individuals possess a chilling ability to lie convincingly. They can construct false narratives with ease, showing no physiological signs of lying, such as sweating or nervousness, which typically give liars away. In such cases, cross-referencing facts and maintaining a healthy skepticism can serve as vital tools in discerning the truth. Lastly, The motivation behind deception often illuminates much about a person's moral compass, or lack thereof. Whether it's to gain power, control, money, or simply to maintain a facade, understanding why someone might be driven to deceive provides context to their actions. Philosophical reflections on truth and morality, like those from Immanuel Kant, who implored us to act in ways that we would want everyone else to act universally, can offer guidance. If a person's actions do not align with such universal principles, it might be time to question their integrity. In sum, recognizing deception requires careful observation, critical thinking, and an unwillingness to ignore red flags. It involves not only listening to what is said, but also watching what is done and considering the broader context of someone's behavior. As we venture further into understanding human interactions, keeping these points in mind will help us navigate our relationships more wisely and safely. Lack of empathy. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another, is foundational to healthy human relationships. It fosters connection, understanding, and mutual respect. However, a significant absence of empathy is often a disturbing hallmark of those we might label as evil. Immanuel Kant suggested that we are not rich by what we possess, but by what we can do without. Yet for those devoid of empathy, what they lack severely impoverishes their moral and emotional engagements. The first glaring sign of a lack of empathy is an overt disregard for others' feelings. Individuals who exhibit this trait often do so blatantly. They dismiss the emotional states of others as irrelevant or burdensome. This can manifest in various interpersonal interactions. Maybe they make hurtful comments without considering the impact, or perhaps they ignore someone's clear distress, choosing instead to prioritize their comfort over anyone else's. Their inability or unwillingness to place themselves in another's shoes often leads to strained relationships, characterized by a cold and detached demeanor. Further exploring this deficit, we encounter the realm of cruelty, where lack of empathy takes a darker turn. For some, this isn't merely about neglecting the feelings of others. It involves deriving satisfaction from witnessing or causing the suffering of others. This behavior is a severe and dangerous manifestation of empathy's absence. Philosophers and psychologists alike have long discussed the implications of such traits, pointing to them as indicators of deep psychological or moral disorders. Observing someone's reactions to situations that would typically elicit sympathy can be very telling. Those who laugh at misfortune, show indifference towards suffering, or even contribute to the distress of others are displaying warning signs that should not be ignored. It's important to distinguish between occasional insensitivity, which can occur in anyone, and a persistent lack of empathy. The latter is characterized by a pattern that repeats across different scenarios and relationships. It is not confined to a specific context but is pervasive, affecting how the person interacts with family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers. A lack of empathy also affects how individuals respond to social norms and ethical considerations. Most of us feel a natural discomfort when we do something that is socially or morally questionable. However, individuals lacking empathy might breach these norms without a second thought, not because they don't understand the rules, but because they don't care about the repercussions their actions may have on others. They might violate boundaries in ways that benefit them, showing little to no remorse even when confronted with the consequences of their actions. This behavior often extends to manipulative tendencies. Without the moral compass provided by empathy, manipulating others can become a strategy for achieving goals. Such individuals often view others as tools or means to an end. Their interactions are transactions, not relationships. They might lie, cheat, steal, or exploit others' vulnerabilities without hesitation or guilt, all because the emotional cost to those around them doesn't register as a legitimate concern. In personal relationships, this lack of empathy can lead to particularly toxic dynamics. The person might not support their partner during hard times, react inappropriately during emotional moments, or fail to understand or respect their partner's emotional needs. Over time, this can lead to a relationship where one party feels perpetually undervalued and emotionally starved. Addressing such deep-seated lack of empathy is challenging. It often requires professional intervention, such as therapy or counseling, to explore the underlying causes and potential remedies. However, recognizing these traits in others can be crucial for personal well-being. It allows one to make informed decisions about which relationships to deepen and which to distance oneself from. As we continue to explore human interactions and their complexities, remember the words of the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche: "To feel not merely with, but for others, that is the true sign of soulfulness." A lack of empathy not only diminishes the quality of relationships, but also erodes the moral fabric that binds human society together. Being aware of its signs helps us navigate our social environments more effectively, ensuring we surround ourselves with individuals who enrich rather than deplete our emotional lives. Narcissistic traits. In this section, we delve into the realm of narcissism, a trait characterized by overwhelming self-centeredness that often manifests in harmful ways. Narcissism is not just a superficial trait of arrogance or vanity. It is a deeper, more pervasive condition that can signal the presence of malevolence in a person's character. Friedrich Nietzsche's reflective statement, "Whenever I climb, I am followed by a dog called ego," serves as a compelling metaphor for this discussion. In the context of malevolent individuals, the ego is an ever-present shadow, a relentless force that propels them to prioritize their desires above all else, often at the expense of others. Narcissism is primarily rooted in an inflated sense of self-importance, coupled with a chronic need for admiration and validation. This can lead to a series of behaviors that are not only self-serving but also destructive. Individuals exhibiting these traits often manipulate and exploit others without remorse. They view relationships as mere tools or stepping stones, utilized solely for achieving personal gains and advancing their status. The manifestation of narcissism can be subtle or overt, but common indicators include a lack of empathy, a penchant for manipulating others, and an insatiable desire for power and control. These traits are often concealed behind a facade of charm and charisma, making it difficult for victims to recognize the danger until they are deeply entangled in the narcissist's web of deceit. Understanding the psychological underpinnings of narcissism is crucial. The development of narcissistic traits is often linked to early life experiences. Childhood environments marked by excessive pampering or, conversely, extreme neglect can contribute to the formation of these traits. Such backgrounds might foster a sense of entitlement or an exaggerated self-image that is disconnected from reality, leading individuals to develop mechanisms that continuously seek validation and admiration from the outside world. In personal relationships, the impact of narcissism can be devastating. Partners of narcissists often experience emotional abuse, including gaslighting, a tactic used to sow seeds of doubt in the victim's mind, making them question their memory, perception, or sanity. This emotional manipulation serves to maintain the narcissist's control and suppress any challenges to their authority or self-image. Professionally, narcissists can be equally destructive. They may engage in unethical behaviors, such as taking credit for others' work, undermining colleagues to hoist themselves up the corporate ladder, and creating toxic work environments through their aggressive and ruthless leadership styles. The digital age has provided new platforms for narcissists to exhibit their traits. Social media, for instance, offers an ideal stage for narcissists to curate and display an idealized version of themselves, seeking attention and admiration through carefully crafted posts that highlight their successes and minimize their flaws. Dealing with a narcissistic individual requires a strategic approach. It is important for those around them to set firm boundaries and communicate clearly about unacceptable behaviors. Psychological interventions, such as therapy, can sometimes help narcissists gain insight into their behavior and develop healthier ways of relating to others. For their victims, seeking support from professionals or support groups can provide the tools needed to cope with the effects of being in a relationship with a narcissist. In summary, recognizing narcissistic traits is essential to safeguarding oneself from potential harm. By understanding the signs and the psychology behind them, individuals can better navigate their relationships and environments to avoid being manipulated or hurt by those who put their egocentric desires above the well-being of others. Aggressive behavior. Aggression can manifest in many forms, ranging from overt acts of violence to subtle psychological manipulation. It is one of the most visible and dangerous traits associated with malevolent personalities. As Plato wisely remarked, "The measure of a man is what he does with power." This observation is especially pertinent when considering individuals who use their power to intimidate, harm, or control others. Understanding aggression. Aggression in individuals can be seen as an expression of power used inappropriately and destructively. This behavior often stems from a desire to dominate or assert control over others, whether through physical intimidation, verbal threats, or psychological coercion. Unlike assertiveness, which is about confidently stating one's needs or rights without undermining others, aggression seeks to diminish or overpower someone else. Physical aggression. The most straightforward form of aggression is physical. This could range from pushing and shoving to more severe acts of violence. It's not just about causing physical harm, it's about instilling fear and asserting dominance. Individuals who resort to physical aggression often do so as a first response to any perceived challenge to their authority or position, viewing violence as a legitimate means to resolve conflicts and impose their will. Verbal aggression. Verbal aggression, on the other hand, involves using words to hurt, demean, or dominate others. This can include yelling, name-calling, sarcastic remarks, and persistent criticism. It's a form of violence that doesn't physically wound, but can be equally damaging, eroding the victim's self-esteem and emotional well-being. Verbal aggressors often use their words as weapons, aiming to control or manipulate others emotionally. Psychological aggression. Perhaps more insidious is psychological aggression, which involves actions or words meant to cause emotional pain or instill fear. This can include behaviors like gaslighting, where the aggressor denies the victim's reality, making them doubt their memories or perceptions. Other tactics include isolation, threats, and habitual lying, all designed to weaken the victim's mental stability and self-trust. Relational aggression. Relational aggression involves harming someone's social relationships or status. Often seen in bullying scenarios, it includes spreading rumors, encouraging others to exclude someone, and manipulating friendships. This form of aggression can be particularly harmful as it attacks the social and emotional support systems that help individuals cope with stress and adversity. Enjoyment in others' misfortune. A particularly malignant form of aggression is taking pleasure in the misfortunes of others, known as schadenfreude. This trait reveals a deep-seated malice and lack of empathy in the aggressor's personality. It's not merely about achieving superiority, it's about actively delighting in another person's suffering, which can motivate further aggressive behaviors. Handling aggressive behavior. Dealing with aggressive individuals requires a careful and considered approach. The first step is recognizing the signs of aggression early to avoid escalation. Setting clear boundaries and using assertive communication can sometimes deter further aggression. However, in cases of severe or persistent aggression, it might be necessary to seek external help, whether from professionals like psychologists, legal authorities, or support networks that can offer advice and intervention. Conclusion: aggression, in all its forms, is a destructive force in relationships. Understanding its manifestations helps us recognize when we or others are in potentially harmful situations. Plato's insight into the use of power is a crucial reminder for us all. The true measure of our character is reflected in how we handle power and aggression. As we move forward, let us strive to foster environments where power is used constructively and compassionately, promoting respect and understanding rather than fear and subjugation. Resisting accountability. Resisting accountability is a definitive trait of individuals with malevolent intentions. Such personalities often weave a narrative that perpetually casts them in the role of the victim, never the perpetrator, skillfully avoiding any responsibility for their actions. This behavior is a powerful mechanism for maintaining control over situations and relationships, ensuring they never have to face the consequences of their deeds. Socrates once challenged society with the notion that an unexamined life is not worth living. However, those who resist accountability live precisely such unexamined lives, dodging self-reflection and correction. Defining resisting accountability. Resisting accountability involves a consistent refusal to take responsibility for one's actions. Individuals who exhibit this trait often manipulate the truth, distort facts, and mislead others to avoid blame. They are experts at playing the blame game, always finding something or someone else to fault for their mistakes and failures. This evasion can manifest in outright denial of wrongdoing, rationalizing harmful behaviors, or even projecting their misconduct onto others. Blaming others. A common tactic used by those who resist accountability is blaming others. Whenever things go wrong, they quickly point fingers, often accusing those who are least able to defend themselves. This deflection not only shields them from having to face the consequences of their actions, but also sows seeds of doubt and discord among those around them, which can divert attention from the real issues at hand. Manipulating narratives. Manipulation of narratives is another strategy employed by those who shirk accountability. By rewriting history or altering the story, they paint themselves in a more favorable light. This can involve exaggerating details, omitting significant facts, or lying about events to elicit sympathy and support. Their stories often have just enough truth to be believable, which makes them particularly effective in misleading others. Avoiding consequences. Those who resist accountability are adept at avoiding the repercussions of their actions. They may use charm and deceit to escape punitive measures, or employ complex excuses to justify their behavior. In professional settings, this might look like shifting responsibility to subordinates or claiming ignorance about critical issues. In personal relationships, it often involves denying promises made or commitments agreed upon. Victim mentality. Central to the issue of resisting accountability is the adoption of a victim mentality. Individuals who refuse to take responsibility for their actions often perceive themselves as perpetual victims, besieged by unfair circumstances and malign forces. This self-victimization serves a dual purpose. It garners sympathy and support from those unaware of their manipulative tendencies and allows them to continue their behavior without guilt or remorse. Impact on relationships and society. The refusal to accept accountability has profound implications for both personal relationships and society at large. In relationships, it leads to cycles of unresolved conflicts and deep-seated resentments, as partners or friends feel perpetually undermined and unheard. In a broader societal context, it undermines trust in institutions and systems when leaders or influential figures evade accountability. This can lead to a breakdown in societal norms and a culture where deceit and evasion are normalized. Addressing the issue. Addressing the issue of resisting accountability requires a firm and consistent approach. It involves setting clear boundaries and expectations and providing consequences when those are not met. In environments where accountability is expected and enforced, individuals find fewer opportunities to deflect or deny responsibility. Additionally, fostering an atmosphere of transparency and open communication can prevent the manipulation of narratives and promote a culture where taking responsibility is valued and respected. Conclusion. Understanding and dealing with individuals who resist accountability is crucial for maintaining healthy and functional relationships, whether personal or professional. By recognizing these behaviors and addressing them effectively, we can create environments where honesty and integrity prevail, ensuring that everyone is held to the same standard and that actions always have appropriate consequences. As we move forward, let's remember the importance of accountability in building a just and equitable society. Recognizing the traits of malevolent individuals is essential for safeguarding our relationships and personal well-being. As we've explored, these traits include deception, a lack of empathy, narcissism, aggressive behavior, and a refusal to accept accountability. Awareness and understanding of these signs empower us to make informed decisions about who we allow into our lives. Remember the wisdom of Martin Luther King Jr. The time is always right to do what is right. Let's stay vigilant, trust our instincts, and ensure our social circles are filled with positive, supportive individuals. Stay strong, stay stoic.